Good evening, everyone. Just doing a quick audio test. Good evening, everyone. Just doing a quick audio test. Okay, great. So thanks for joining us this evening, everyone. We're going to be doing a little bit of an overview session about the Brightspace Learning Platform for TDSB families. My name is Kevin Bradbeer. I work in IT services for the TDSB. And my colleague, Elaine Umholtz, who's a secondary teacher with the district, will be handling duties in the chat this evening. So if you have any questions as we go that are specific to Brightspace, please feel free to pop them in there. And if we have some time at the end, we'll certainly go back to some of those questions if we didn't get a chance to answer them. So I think we'll get started. So this evening, we're going to be talking about what Brightspace is, first of all, how to access the platform, how to then log in to the platform. We're going to look at some of the key features in Brightspace, and we have some examples from both elementary and secondary classrooms for use. And we're going to be looking specifically at the announcements and activity feed tools, the content area, the assignments tool, and the portfolio tool. And then we'll also be looking at some of the help resources that are available specific to Brightspace and to help families with some of the technology questions they might have during our remote learning times. So Brightspace is an online learning platform that's built by Desire to Learn. So Brightspace is the product, D2L is the company. The analogy we use often is that Apple makes the iPhone, so D2L makes Brightspace. D2L is a Canadian company that's based in Waterloo, Ontario, and they've been in the learning management game for probably 15 plus years now, and they're one of the world leaders in learning management platforms and technologies. And so we're very fortunate that the Ministry of Education has provided Brightspace to all publicly funded school districts in Ontario. And we're into, I believe, our third contract with D2L right now. And the current one we have has, I believe, approximately 8 more years left on the length of the contract. So it's a platform that we're going to have access to for a while. So in terms of within TDSB, who has access to the learning platform, all students from kindergarten to grade 12 and all school staff have access to Brightspace. So all of our teachers, educational assistants, principals, vice principals, early childhood educators, et cetera, and then along with some of our central staff as well. And I also wanted to add that Brightspace is one of the 2 online classrooms that is provided and supported by TDSB. Google Classroom is the other one. And so what that really means is that the district provides a variety of digital learning tools to all of our teachers and students. And we strongly suggest that teachers do not go outside of that suggested list of tools for a number of reasons, but the main ones include privacy, security, and support. If we do have questions, issues, problems that we need to respond to, all of these things are taken care of with either legal contracts or support agreements that we have in place for the district provided digital learning tools. So in terms of how we access Brightspace, there are 2 ways to get into the platform. One is through our academic workspace portal. It's a TDSB login service that we provide to all staff and students. And the second is through a direct link that eLearning Ontario provides us. And you can see the URL there, tdsb.elearningontario.ca. So in terms of using the academic workspace route, what we would do is go to the link you see there in blue, aw.tdsb.on.ca, and that's from any internet connected device anywhere in the world. You don't have to be at school, certainly, or within Toronto or that sort of thing. It's globally available. And then you're going to need a couple of pieces of information to complete the login. So the first is the 9-digit student number. And I want to note that this is not the number that you see on your child's report card. This is the Trillium number that the district provides to all students. And students use that number in a variety of ways. So It's the user number that they would log into the Wi-Fi with at school. It's the number that they would use to log into Windows computers at school. It's also the number that's on their library card. So many of our students, I would say probably in grade 3 and up, know this number off by heart. Some of our younger students will not know it because they don't use it quite as often. But your child's teacher does have access to a list of these numbers and can provide it to you if it's needed. So the other piece of information you're going to need is their password. And again, this is the same password that students use to log into Wi-Fi at school, to log into any of their digital tools, and of course, all of the computers that we have within the district, whether it's a Windows machine or a Chromebook, etc. So we'd enter those two pieces of information and click Login. This is what Academic Workspace looks like when we log in at the very high level. And what you see is the sort of the banner welcoming screen there. And the way that we access Brightspace is we hover over the Resources tab that you see there and go down to the second option, which is Brightspace, click on it, and the following screens will be displayed where it wants us to now log into Brightspace directly. So the first thing we're going to need to know is the student's account ID, and it is in the form of an email address. So it looks like firstname.lastname@student.tdsb.on.ca. So the individual student would input that information, click next, and then we would go over to, we would see the next screen where it would say, please enter your password. And the students, again, that's the same password they used on the AW screen, same password they used for a variety of other access options, and click sign in. So that's the first way that you can access Brightspace through the Academic Workspace portal. The other way that you can access Brightspace is going directly to this link, tdsb.elearningontario.ca, and you'll be presented with the login screen you see in front of you here. There are 3 sections for this login screen for sort of 3 different groups of people that we have within the system. So the first one, the top, the green button and text, is our staff and students login. And so for yourselves at home working with your children, they would click on that green one. They would be asked for that email address and the password and then log straight in. There is a Brightspace for Parents option that Brightspace offers, which is a view for parents to see some of the content that's provided inside the Brightspace online classroom. And parents and guardians can click on that blue button to set up their account for that. And we're actually going to be offering a session next week on Brightspace for Parents. But that particular section is obviously for parents and guardians. And then lastly, the bottom, the orange section, is mostly for our e-summer school students. So TDSB runs a very large online credit program in the summertime. So credit courses, high school courses for grades 9 to 12 in both July and August sessions. And that program will be running again this year, and registration is actually open right now. But that's open to any student in grade 9 to 12 if they would like to take a high school course over the summertime. So that particular area is what those students will use. So again, by clicking on the green area, we would see the email address on the left-hand side and then the password on the right-hand side, and then click sign in. Once you land in Brightspace, this is the welcome, the landing page inside Brightspace. So it would say, for example, welcome, Kevin, we're glad you're here. And on the right-hand side, you will see a little area called My Courses. And so for students, any of the courses that they're enrolled in will show up here. If a child is in elementary school, they might have, say, a grade 4 homeroom course. They might have one that their French teacher or their gym teacher has set up, for example. So any of the teachers that they work with can set up Brightspace courses. It's not mandatory, it's an option. And if your child is in high school, they will have a Brightspace course for every subject and course that they're taking. So for example, on this screen, this particular student sees a world history course and then a grade 11 law course. And then in the middle, of course, is an announcement area where the district can post up different announcements that we target to staff and or students, depending on the nature of the announcement. But the main landing page gives you quick access to your courses and to a few other options across the top there. Once we click into a course, the landing page of the course changes a little bit and now is very specific to what's happening in that particular course. So as we look across the top, there's a series of icons for the course homepage, which is what we're looking at right now, a content section, which we'll talk about a little bit, discussions area, which is an online discussion tool teachers will use within their course to engage students in discussions about the course content, an assignments area that we'll touch on in a moment, a quizzes area, which is an online quiz tool that teachers can use either for a quick check to see how students are doing, or an actual test type of situation that can be conducted online. Virtual Classroom is a web conferencing tool that is built within the Brightspace platform. The grades tool that allows teachers to keep track of the grades and achievement of the students and then share that with the students as well. And then Portfolio is a tool we're going to talk a little bit about in a moment as well. I just noticed that in the chat, there's a question about the session for parents next week. We don't have the date determined yet. It'll be toward like the middle, towards the end of the week. We're just finalizing that with some of our team. We hope to have that up within the next day or two. It'll be posted in the same area that these sessions are posted on the remote learning site. So as we mentioned, we're going to be chatting a little bit about these 5 areas of the Brightspace online platform. So let's get in and talk a little bit about announcements. So the purpose of announcements is essentially information sharing from the teacher out to the students. This would be sort of the way a teacher would greet their class at the beginning of the day or the beginning of the class or the course for that particular day, similar to the way that you might do it if you were in front of your students physically. We use the announcements tool to share a whole variety of information types. It could be the introduction of a new topic, of a new unit. It could be to share a resource, to share an assignment, to attach a video or a link to something they want the students to look at or respond to. So it's quite a feature-rich tool that allows the teacher to communicate with the students effectively. And as you can see from the example on the right-hand side, the tool allows you to have sort of different images and different colors and sizes of fonts and that sort of thing. And this is a really important strategy for teachers to, engage students and make their content look interesting, but also really help students zero in on the components of the announcement that might be that might be really important, for example. The activity feed is another announcement kind of tool, information sharing kind of tool within Brightspace. It has a couple of different features compared to the announcements tool. So the main one is that when parents are using the Brightspace for Parents option, the tool looking into the Brightspace classroom, they see the activity feed messages. Whereas with the announcement tool, that one is only exposed to students. So for many of our teachers who are using Brightspace for Parents, they will use the activity feed that we're looking at now as really one of the primary ways for them to communicate with parents. Beyond that, you can share many of the same kinds of things: files, images, links to different websites, YouTube videos, that sort of thing. And teachers can also create little quick assignments and that from the activity feed as well. So it's quite a well-rounded tool. And if you are engaging with Brightspace for Parents, you'll see some of that information posted there. The content is the area where a lot of the course material is posted. So this is a screenshot from a grade 11 social sciences course where they're talking about, in this particular case, anthropology. So along the left-hand side, you see the little colored tabs: course information, emotional Albert, what is psychology, what is anthropology. Those are sort of like your units within a course or a digital binder, if you will. And then indented in sort of the peachy kind of color are more specific topics. So what is Canadian culture, tasks and resources, for example. So this is the way that this particular teacher has organized the content for this section of her course. But you can have these units be anything you want. So for kindergarten, we might have them set up for whatever unit we're focusing on right now. We might have it an inquiry topic. We might have, a section on families or whatever you want. So the teachers have full options there to customize those areas to whatever they need. But the content areas where the students are going to find the majority of the information that they need to work on their activities and assignments and that sort of thing. And then this is an example of a content area from a kindergarten course. So you can see that the topic structure on the left-hand side is similar in terms of the units, but the names of the units are very different. So we have one about sharing remote learning, a section on family. We see that there's another teacher who's maybe the music teacher. They've made a particular unit within the course for the students. And so this one is from kindergarten, and this is the content post has been about the family sharing that they've been doing lately and learning about the families in the community and that sort of thing. So within the content area, you can be posting certainly text, of course, images, links to different pieces. So it's, again, a fairly functional tool that allows you to do lots of different things with. The assignments tool is where a student would go to see the assignments that they are responsible for. And it's a running total of assignments. So at the beginning of the year or of the course, the area would have maybe 1 or 2, but it will grow as the course goes on and the student completes work and submits it. So this area will tell the student a few different things. Number one, what assignments are upcoming that I maybe haven't submitted yet. It will show the assignments that they have submitted, and then also indicate to the students when a mark and or feedback has been left for the student to look at. So we can see in the third column, the score column, a grade can be left. And then in the evaluation status column, feedback can also be left for the students. So the grade is obviously the score that the student received. The feedback is really information telling the student about how they did, areas they did well on, maybe suggestions for improvement, things to think about next time. And it also tells the teacher, in this case, you can see the word read beside 2 of the pieces of feedback, if the student has actually read the feedback that they've left for them. The other column of information lists the due dates for when the particular assignments are due, and the students will submit their work through this assignments area as well. So several different activities related to assignments, submission, receiving the feedback and grades all take place within this particular area. And the last section we're going to talk about this evening is the portfolio area. So this is a digital portfolio that students decide what they wish to put into the portfolio. There's an app, iOS and Android, that you can use to add content to the portfolio, or it can also be done through the web, like the interface we've been looking at so far this evening. And when the student places objects in their portfolio, they can attach either a written little annotation about the artifact or item that they've put in. They can also do a little video note describing what they've done, or an audio note explaining, what they chose and why they chose it. The items that we see in front of us are visual items, of course, so pictures of work about patterns and colors and shapes that might be happening. This example is from a kindergarten classroom. But a student can also put in a PDF, they can put in something from their Google Drive, they can put in a picture that they may have stored on a phone or on a personal device, that sort of thing. So it accepts a wide range of different file types. And we have students in kindergarten using this really actively, but we also have students in high school using Portfolio actively. And one of the really interesting ways that I've heard Portfolio being used is some of our phys ed students are using Portfolio to capture demonstrations of different concepts and skills that they're required to show for their mark. And so they're using Portfolio to sort of capture their progress along the way as they're trying to learn and then demonstrate how to do certain tasks and concepts and skills from within a particular sport or athletic activity or that sort of thing. So we've covered the 4 different areas within Brightspace: the announcements and activity feed, the content, the assignments, and the portfolio tool. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the supports that are available to families, to students and parents and guardians. So part of the contract that the ministry has with D2L is that parents and students can contact D2L directly. So let's say, for example, that your child had an assignment due and they were new to using Brightspace and they weren't really sure about how to actually attach a file or get a file out of their Google Drive and submit it for part of their work. That would be the kind of question that you could contact D2L for directly. So questions about how to use the Brightspace Learning Platform are very appropriate to send there. Parents and students can also ask their teacher. So if there's a question about, either the parent account or the student account and not being able to log in, or if there was an error message being received, teachers can then contact TDSB's help desk and engage our support to see if we can find out, what the reason might be for that issue that the student or the parent might be experiencing. A couple of other things I've highlighted here is that Brightspace has a YouTube channel with content. Some of it is targeted towards teachers, but some of it is also targeted to students and parents, and it's quite active. We have created a TDSB Brightspace support site within TDSB. Part of the audience there is targeted towards teachers, but we do have an entire section on parents and Brightspace for parents, which I think might be helpful. And then lastly, we have the TDSB Remote Learning Family Support site, which I'm going to pop out actually and show you in a second, where we have clustered a few different resources there. And then lastly, we did want to leave you with an email address. If you found that some of these resources, you weren't able to find the answer to the question you might have, feel free to reach out and email me, and I'll do my best to try to get you some help. I did want to share with you some of the D2L information. So this is the help page from the D2L community. So you can email with your question, you can call with a question, and you can also do a web chat for support. And D2L has told us that the web chat is the fastest way to get support. So your choice in terms of what your preference might be. And of course, the link is there along the bottom for where you'll find this actual page. So I'm just going to go back for a second and pop out of the presentation. And I'm just going to go to the remote learning page for a second. And I'm not sure why it's loading up like that. Okay, someone's been playing with our website. Anyway, what I wanted to highlight for you here is that some of the resources that we have are, we have a guide to accessing Google Classroom that our help desk actually created. So that's that first item here. We have a digital citizenship guide from Google, which is excellent. So if you're looking for a bit of help or a bit of guidance around digital citizenship for your children, that's a really good resource. The next one with the mother and daughter looks like on the couch there. This is a guide that Google has put out for accessing Google Classroom. We also have a link for Brightspace for parents that, again, our help desk put together in terms of how do we access the step-by-step instructions of how to get in. And then the last item here with the device with the tablet and the question mark, this is a link to a live web chat with our help desk agents. So if you have a question about, say, your child's password, their account in some way, shape, or form, or if you happen to have received a device from us to help with remote learning and you're having trouble connecting to Wi-Fi, or you've got a question about the usage of the device, you can chat with our help desk agents between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. The help desk agents are able to help with technical questions, but they're not able to help with questions about the assignments that the teachers may have provided, or resources or links or that sort of thing. So it's really technical questions that they're able to help us with. Okay, so I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat and see if there's anything that we need to have a look at. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in there specifically. Len, you can let me know if there's anything that we need to look at specifically. But folks, the recording of the session will be on the TDSB website, the same place where you found this particular recording, and the link won't change. So once the session is finished, the link will continue to stay on the website, and it'll just be the recording of our time together this evening. And it'll be there for you to look at, probably for the next several weeks, I'm sure, if not longer. So folks, thanks for joining us this evening. Appreciate you spending some time with us. And I hope that the session was helpful in giving an introduction of Brightspace and what some of the features and tools are within that platform. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.